Okay. This is a webinar that it's start. I'm just going to allow different participants to join before starting. So we're going to give about 1 to 2 minutes to allow the different participants to join the webinar, and after I'm going to start the presentation. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. For the sake of punctuality, I will not wait for all the registered participants to start. I know this webinar is actually recorded, so it could be whoever is going to miss the beginning of the presentation will have the opportunity to go on the Nomad Gate YouTube platform or on the Investaureum platform, and will be able to access the webinar. The webinar of today is going to be, moving under the following fashion. I'm going to make a brief introduction of Investaureum and about Portugal in terms of its attractiveness, and generally speaking about the framework of Portugal in the context of investment and in context of immigration. Then I will be moving to the core subject of our presentation, which is going to be Alentejo, its attractivity and sustainability. And we will move to branded residencies in terms of investment vehicle and why people are actually interested in taking these opportunities. And we will make the presentation at the end of the show of the latest development from Investaureum, which is in Alentejo, and that is named Convento das Servas. So with no further delay, allow me to introduce Investaureum. Investaureum is a Portuguese real estate investment group that's specialized in chartered and heritage development, and also in global golden visa program. So we're giving through our development the possibility of investors to access to the golden visa program of Portugal, which is investment based. We provide also expert professional consulting, business mediation, and we are offering tailor-made solution for all our clients, the one who wants to actually develop their own project. Our management, so Investaureum is unique in its kind in terms of real estate developer of Portugal, because it is composed of a variety of disciplines in terms of expertise, and the group of some management joint efforts in order to be able to give a complete solution and a very relevant eye in the sake of our industry. We have legal that is covered with Thiago Macedo as chairman and founding partners. We have also business operation expertise with Carlos Gomez, who is the CEO. With myself, you will cover all aspects dealing with residency and citizenship. I've been in the field for over 18 years now. George Forte has the expertise of real estate, and finally Gonzalo Carreton, who is an expert in the hotel industry and hospitality. So as you can feel and understand, we have a great combination of skills that address all the aspects of the industry when it comes to investing in real estate, in touristic project for the golden visa purpose. There is no great management without a great team, and we are very proud in the Investaureum team to have such great assets. This is only part of the team. Obviously, it's very hard to put everyone on one slide, and I don't want to be extensive and to lose too much of the time speaking about ourselves, but we are obviously fully staffed in sales, marketing, project management, compliance, due diligence, finance, advisory, and also lobbying. As any great and large group, we also work with different stakeholders, whether it is bank with Caixa Geral de Depósitos, Millennium BCP, real estate expertise with GLL, CBRE, RICS, accounting with PwC, also hospitality and brands like Milo Group with Anantara and Campbell Gray, a design company with Broadly Mainland, and Turismo Portugal and Microsoft. So Portugal at a glance is a small but smart country. I think I like this definition about Portugal because it's really what transpires when you go there. I think it's very well known for its peaceful population. It's ranked fourth most peaceful country in the world, and also for its competitiveness in terms of business. It's in the top tier countries for that, and obviously it's a small country with only 10 million people, but a very dynamic one. So typically, one of the first questions that people ask me, because I myself moved to Portugal, I'm not Portuguese, so one who didn't notice that. And Portugal is, I mean, one of the main reasons why people move to Portugal and expat like myself is really because of its great quality of life, safety, stability, but also and know more and more because of its flourishing economy. It's no surprise why institutions such as Web Summit did choose Portugal to establish themselves. A lot of technological investment had been happening in Portugal. Portugal is becoming one of the major data centers in Europe. And I think a lot of the investment have been skyrocketing, drained at the beginning by Golden Visa, but then after by multiple incentive from the government to attract investors, and that is making also Portugal what it is today. I like this slide because I think it really highlights most of the reason why people move to Portugal, and I kind of identify myself in this layout. Obviously Portugal is a country, but it's also identified by a few of famous cities and region. Lisbon being the capital and international commercial hub. Porto, beautiful city, key of the industry, a lot of the manufacturing happening in the north of Portugal. Douro has been one of the iconic region, UNESCO Patrimony. I mean, with a microclimate, a beautiful area. I think most of Europe envy Portugal for this microclimates. Alentejo, which is known for its history and being also the first starlight tourism destination in the world, and Algarve, that is very known for tourism destination and beach destination. A lot of retired people are going to choose the south of Portugal, and namely Algarve, to settle. Among the 9 reasons that people typically choose to move to Portugal, it's safety. This is definitely one of the key reasons, and I'm a father of 3 young kids. I can tell you that my kids go alone walking to school, and it's something that, I mean, I've been living in many countries in Europe, in North America, in Middle East, and this is something quite rare to be mentioned. So the ranking of Portugal as being the 4th safest country in the world is definitely not an overstatement. It's something that we are experiencing every day with my family, and this is definitely one of the reasons that made us move in Portugal. It's also an excellent tax regime. I think anyone coming from Europe, UK, North America, whenever you're going to consider moving in a country, you're looking also at what is the tax environment. It becomes a very important part of our decision-making process. And speaking to a lot of investors that are coming also from the Middle East, where they have some, I mean, tax-friendly environment. And I think with that extent, Portugal and its non-habitual resident regime is definitely giving a strong incentive for people to come. Cryptocurrency, it's a new trend, but I think it's something worth to be mentioned. We are seeing more and more investors coming from North America, from UK, from actually all over the world, that are seeing Portugal as being a perfect place to live, because Portugal is tax friendly when it comes to crypto tax treatment, and a lot of investors are deciding to move their family in Portugal. It's also a powerful passport. It's ranked in the top 5 in the world. So obviously, whoever is going to come in Portugal and invest in Portugal with the purpose of becoming a citizen, I think it's a great feature to know that your passport is going to allow you to travel to multiple destinations without having to go through the hassle of applying for a visa. Social and political stability. I think this is a very important factor. Whenever you decide to establish yourself in a country and you're a foreigner, you are looking for stability. And I think the political system has been such that it allows a variety of political parties. But we are seeing in Portugal a lot of stability in terms of the governance. And this is also conveying a lot of comfort as a foreigner, because you know that if you're going to invest, you can see far in terms of what is going to be the direction of the government. And I know in a lot of countries, it's always riskier to invest because you don't know if the government change, maybe they're going to change a lot of the political and economical context as well with it, which is something what, you know, in the past 10, 15 years, we didn't really see in Portugal. I think we have seen a pretty steady line, and most of the investors are completely satisfied with this stability. Modern and reliable infrastructures. I think coming from abroad and looking at the country, it's something that you appreciate. Portugal is actually very well developed. It's ranked fourth in the world in terms of the quality of its network, and sixth in terms of its density. So it means that you can reach road and highway almost everywhere in Portugal. Even small cities are accessible through the highway system. So I think this is something very important because it reduces the distance. I think from one side to the other side of Portugal, it takes you 2 hours maximum to go. And this is something that a lot of foreign investors value. Obviously, it has an impact in terms of the accessibility for your investments. And this is something very, very important. The healthcare system. It's a very, very good healthcare system, a free healthcare system for the resident. It has like 120,000 health professionals across the country. The ratio between the number of hospitals and the number of patients is one of the best in Europe. And the quality of the infrastructures in the private sectors, but also in the public sectors, and the quality of the practitioners is something that is indisputable today. We had experienced that personally with our family, and I think this is really impressive. It's ranked ahead of France, ahead of UK, ahead of Canada, ahead of many countries that are known for the healthcare system. So I think this is something Portugal has to be proud of, and makes it one of the reasons why people like me and like you are interesting to come and live in Portugal. Great education. Obviously, a lot of you, like myself, have kids at different ages, and I think Portugal did really well in its education system. It's ranked 16th in the world. I think this is a great achievement. It has education in Portuguese, but also in English, in French. You have German school. I know a lot of international school for the younger age, but also some program at the university. I taught in English. So I think this is something very interesting for foreigners that wish to establish themselves on a permanent basis in Portugal. Although the golden visa do not force you to stay more than 7 days per year, a lot of the investors in Portugal are actually looking to live and to move the family in Portugal. And I think this is a great features to know that you can access high quality education. For the one who wants to do architecture, for example, it's clearly one, if not the best in the world. So only school who has 2 Nobel Prize of architecture is actually in Porto. So I think it speaks volume. And it's one of the best destinations. So we discuss about best destination because of many factors. About the climate. Obviously, the climate is something that is extremely important for people. We have over 3,000 hours of sunshine per year, excellent standard of living, excellent food. And I think whenever you want to live somewhere, this is something that you are going to consider. Without further delay, I wanted just to briefly touch base on the Golden Visa of Portugal. I'm not going to present the Golden Visa in detail in this presentation. I know that Nomad platform did actually host a lot of webinar lately where we speak a lot about the technicality of the Golden Visa. I just wanted to highlight in one slide the main change that did happen in the regulation, which is in January 2022, which basically are going to bring some restriction in terms of the area where you can invest in order to be eligible to obtain the Golden Visa of Portugal. By the way, I'm seeing some hands raising. If you don't mind, I'm going to address all the questions in the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. It's going to be a little bit easier for everyone. So as I was saying, the Golden Visa qualifying investment zone did change. It excludes all the coastal area, actually most of them, and a large city of high density. But today we're speaking about Alentejo. Most of the Alentejo region is actually a qualifying investment area. And I think this is important to notice that. To conclude on Investaureum, before we move to the core of the presentation, I just wanted to take you for a short visit with two of the projects that are about to be delivered in the months of May 2022, so within like 2 months. The first one is Canaveses Palace. It's a holistic wellness clinic hotel. It's operated by Campbell Gray. It's actually the first project ever built and created in Portugal under the 280,000 investment option. So Investaureum was actually a pioneer in this particular segment of the 280,000 investment, the first player in the industry to really identify this opportunity and build fantastic location. The project is 53 rooms luxury hotel with 26 villa, all with riverfront plunge pool. Total investment was 20 million. The second investment that is going to be completed is Alegre Apartment in the city of Porto. It was an historical building that had been revamped into 16 fully furnished luxury apartment and 6.5 million investment. The group has also multiple other investment in Alentejo, in Villa Viçosa, in Alqueva and other cities, but those one are not completed yet, so I'm not going to cover them in this presentation. So Alentejo is what interests us today. It's one of the most trendy and exclusive place of Portugal. It is located in the southern part, mid-southern part. It's one of the largest region actually in Portugal. It's almost starting at the latitude of Madrid and goes up to almost Seville in Spain, for the one who are more familiar with Spain. It's literally a great region to be discovered. If you are looking at the distance from Lisbon Airport, you are to access the projects. You are roughly between 1 hour and a half to 1 hour and 50 minutes, depending if you go to Borba, Évora, Villa Viçosa, or Elvas or Alqueva. If you are going to the beach side, Comporta or Troia, you're looking at maybe an hour time roughly to access. So Alentejo is known for, its attractivity and its sustainability. Typically, we say that the attractiveness of a tourist destination can be seen as being constituted by unique locations, cultural attributes, natural resources, infrastructure, services, and some other features. And Alentejo is really answering all those points. If you look at unique locations, you have fantastic historical places with beautiful castles due to a lot of history between the different invasions that commanded to build castles, a lot of vineyards that are fantastic. It's, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, also the #1 starlight tourism destination. So very clear skies, very open space, a lot of cultural attribute as well, because of the deep history that was there, mainly a lot between Spain and Portugal, but also the Arab invasions that they clearly leave a lot of vestiges in this area. Natural resources, again, as well. We have the biggest artificial lake in Europe, but you also have beautiful landscape in terms of agriculture, but also in terms of marble quarries. You have the best marble quarries of pink marbles in Europe in Villa Viçosa. Infrastructure, it's true for Alentejo as it is for the entire Portugal. As I was mentioning a little bit earlier, we are blessed in Portugal to have incredible infrastructure system, whether this is for the road, the railway, the public infrastructures, and obviously the services. So this is why we see in Alentejo a shining star in terms of attractivity and sustainability. When it comes to tourism, We also analyze it in terms of attraction and facility and the accessibility for the purpose of discovering its attractiveness. So again, here, we are seeing Alentejo that being a very sustainable choice of investment because it ticks all the boxes. When you go to Alentejo, this is the Garden of Portugal. It's a beautiful area, and it commands a lot of investment lately because of that. And I think this is really this ability to create and maintain this set of resources that makes it such a unique choice. And as I was saying a little bit earlier, a shining star in the region. So when we talk about attractiveness of a touristic destination, I know I like to believe that this is an easy equation, and I classify it in 8 different points that combined together increase the value of real estate investment, because we are here clearly speaking about Alentejo as being a destination of investment. It's something that is not known enough, and this is why I wanted to have this webinar focusing on this specific region. So in no specific order, whenever you want to define attractiveness for touristic destination, you need to have commercial facilities, you need to have sport facilities, you need to have natural beauty and climate. And here again, you know, when you look in Alentejo, I mean, you have a lot of commercial facility. Everything that you need, you can find in most of the small villages or cities that exist in Alentejo. Sports facilities, even the smallest village has its soccer stadium and its tennis court and its swimming pool. All the municipality are fairly well financed in order to be able to provide to the citizen and to the resident beautiful facilities. Natural beauty and climate. I mean, this is a fantastic sun dry in the summer. You have beautiful vineyards, beautiful farming, olive trees, castles, amazing sky. I think it speaks by itself, and a lot of time when we take investors to visit the areas, they are all amazed by the beauty, the natural beauty of it. Cultural and social characteristics, definitely whenever you want to go somewhere, you want to make sure that the location speaks to you in terms of history. And I think in Alentejo, we have so many cities that are classified UNESCO Patrimony or Portuguese Patrimony. And I think this is definitely a place where people find full satisfaction in terms of their touristic destination. Accessibilities, I mean, I mentioned a few times already that Portugal is blessed with communication network in terms of accessibilities. I mean, you have many roads, highways, airports, railway, and you can access all the small villages almost directly from the highway. Attitude to tourists, it's something that Portugal, I think, is really standing alone in Europe. I think this is a place I went where the people, and especially in Alentejo, are making the most efforts to make tourists feel comfortable and welcome. And I think this is also one of the main reasons why this region is today overperforming when you compare to the rest of the country and maybe the rest of Europe. Infrastructure, there is everything that we mentioned this before, and price level, like every place where that has been a shining star, we see the price is increasing in Alentejo, but obviously if you compare to the rest of the country that had been on the map in terms of touristic destination for a longer time, the price level is still very accessible. And I think this is the combination of all those 8 factors that makes Alentejo today a very attractive and sustainable investment destination. Another data that I wanted to show, speaking about Alentejo, I think it's really important for any investors to understand that a lot of time I'm being asked about the tourism performance in the interior of the country, because obviously whenever you're going to invest, you will think about Lisbon, about Porto, eventually about Algarve as being region where you make a good occupancy and a good income. But it happens that recently we saw the statistics about Alentejo, and when the majority of the country saw the profits in tourist establishment fell by 44% in average, Alentejo drop only was 2%. And I think it speaks volume as per the attractiveness of the region. And this is why we are today seeing more and more investment being pulled by different groups, American, German, French, Portuguese, Canadian, that are investing in the region, and especially in Alentejo. Alentejo is also known for its golf course. You have, here beautiful pictures of the golf course that is near Troia. It has been ranked by Rolex magazine as the 17th best golf course in continental Europe. So it's also a place where you see a multitude of beautiful golf course for the investors that are looking to enjoy this fantastic hobby. And obviously you have the beaches that are in Alentejo. The most known one are in Comporta, in the Troia Peninsula. And I think this is a very, very beautiful landscape that we are having in this region. I mean, what I like about Alentejo is spread really from the ocean to the interior. Even if the interior is a way larger part of Alentejo, I think it gives everything, and in less than 2 hours you are in the border of Spain or in the Atlantic Ocean. And obviously there is Borba. I want to mention about Borba because this is where the city where we have the new project of Investaureum that I'm going to present a bit later in the presentation. Borba is one of the cities in the interior of Portugal that will be very easily overlooked if it was not for its magnificent past. I think this is known as being the cornerstone at the beginning of the 17th century between the Baroque style and the Rococo style, and this is what stands alone whenever you go and you walk in Borba and you look at the history of the city. I think this is what makes it so unique. Then we're going to move in next part of our presentation, which is the branded residencies. I think here, when we look at investment, branded residency is becoming more and more popular. And the main reason is that you have breathtaking location, top of the line amenities, VIP perks, ultra personal service. All those branded residents actually have the resonance of their mothers or fathers, which are the hotel brands that for the large majority are associated with the brand. And this lifestyle aligned with an ideal is what makes people invest in a brand. And I think this is why we are seeing, actually, even if today most of the investment is not in Europe, but we are seeing more and more of those investments. So whenever a buyer is considering a branded residence, he is looking of securing a second, third, fourth home that is backed by the prestige of the world-renowned company. Often the brand associated with luxury hotel, they may fare especially well for their global name recognition and their reputation for high quality living. And this is why someone who is going to look for an investment is always often looking at the brands, because he can easily identify himself in this specific style of living. Nevertheless, the stock of those properties is today in Europe quite rare. And this is also one of the reasons why typically it makes them more attractive, because you don't have so many available. The other advantage that you have typically whenever you're going to invest in a branded residence, and one of the features that investors are going to look for, is that there will be a larger pool of buyers. Typically, when the investors are ready to sell, thanks to the international appeal of the specific brand names, they will find a larger pool of buyers that are looking for good return of investment and potential better capital gain. And actually, I found a service data that shows that investors are willing to pay an average of 31% premium just because of the brand. So not only there is an expansion underway of this segment of the market, but there is also a growing number of brands that are not affiliated with the hotel, and they are getting into this luxury real estate segment. So we are seeing the car industry being involved. I'm thinking about the Porsche Tower that is in Miami, or even restaurants. I mean, we've seen, one of the most famous one that we know is Nobu, that did establish like one of the most exclusive property in Toronto and also in many other cities. John Hitchcock's and the designer Philip Stark's, for example, there are 52 residencies already completed in different locations around the world, Bangkok, Mexico, Sao Paulo, but also in Europe. So what are the top 6 reasons why you invest in a brand name in real estate? The first one is the invincible trust. And it goes without saying, whenever you are thinking about a brand that you like, whether this is Ananta from Minor Group, or this is Four Seasons, or this is Park Hyatt, or this is whatever brand, you will invest just because you trust this brand. You trust the capacity of the management of the brand to actually convey this trust that makes you feel comfortable putting your investment in their hands. And I think this is one, and this is why I did actually put it first, because I think this is the main reason why you're going to invest in a branded property. Then no foul play. Obviously, it goes without saying. I mean, you know exactly what to expect. A brand comes with an image, and you know that the direction that it's going to take is going to be very clear to you. Then you have an edge over others. Again, we were speaking about the exit strategy. I believe that whenever you invest in a brand, you have an edge over quality and you have an edge over price. Over quality, because you know that the specification book of a brand, for Alentara, for example, or for any other brand, is going to be very strict in terms of the qualities they want to deliver to the clients and to the investors. And you know that you have another entity, namely the brand, that is going to go on top of the developer to make sure that this quality is going to be respected. And second, in terms of price, not so much in the entry level, but more on the exit level, because those brands that want to maintain a certain reputation in terms of their pricing, and they will push the price higher upon exit because they want the investor to make money, and they will be also an active player on the exit of the investor who are under the freehold accommodation, because they will want to keep a high value of the investors upon exiting. No hidden cost. I mean, one of the main advantages that you have when you deal with a brand name is that typically there is a very clear specification book, as I said, and not only for construction and for delivering of the product, but also for the management. So all the costs are known from the beginning in terms of what will be the condo fees and all the maintenance fees. And that's also something that makes investors comfortable because it is easier for them to determine the return on investment. Delivery on time. It's something that might look hard to believe, but actually, whenever you have a brand name, especially in the hotel industry, there is an announcement effect that is made, and a group like Anantara, for example, will announce the opening of an hotel. And once they announce the opening of the hotel, you know that 6, 7, 8 months before, you need to hire the staff that is going to operate the hotel in order to train it. So there is a lot of cost that is associated with operating the resort. And those costs are actually commanding a higher pressure on the entrepreneurs to be able to deliver on time, because a date being provided to open the hotel will force better monitoring and more pressure on the development team and on the construction team to deliver on time. And finally, high return on investment that are often guaranteed. Obviously, the ADR of a 5-star luxury brand is going to be way higher than a normal development, and the return on investment that you're going to expect is going to be also of a greater magnitude. So those are the main reason why you typically invest in a brand name in real estate. Also, like to conclude, branded residence are a concept that is hotel-led and not residential-led. So you will barely see a residence first and then an hotel. You will typically see an hotel coming and a residence being attached to the hotel. And the main difference is that the residents from the hotel brand, they're obviously looking for the service of the hotel, and they want to enjoy all the amenities that are provided by the hotel. And obviously, the better the brand, the higher the quality that you are going to expect to see. So what's in it for the unit owner? So although the condominium unit are referred to as residents, most unit owners are actually only occasionally residing in the resort. So we will have usually about 90% are going to be opt-in, meaning that they will decide to leave the property under management or full management of the operator, and a very small percentage might decide to be opt-out, meaning that they decide to actually physically reside in the resort. So in the case of rented room, which is opt-in, the tariff is usually split between the resort owner and the unit owner. And despite the splits, because as I mentioned, the ADR of a luxury brand is always way higher, it allows the owner to perform a way greater return on investment as opposed to a non-branded property. So the investment often provides a second home ownership, the tax benefits and capital gains that they might realize, because the property will have tendency to increase in value to a greater magnitude as a non-branded property. So we can assume that Alentejo is a trend in the Portuguese touristic market. This is clearly something that we are observing today. This is where we see a lot of money being invested, and this is where we see more and more brands establishing themselves. So I think this is a very fair assumption. We see that updated figures show that even with the pandemic, the occupancy rate maintained balance, and we see actually a very good performance in terms of financial of the product that we're operating in the region. And we're seeing that also with our flag partnership, we are giving a lot of guarantees of winning project. And this is why you always prefers to invest, especially in the region, in a branded property, because you want to obtain the maximum liquidity of your investment. Moving on to the last part of the presentation, I want to introduce to you the latest development that is going to be put on the market for Investaureum, which is a convento da service resort. So it is located in the city of Borba in Alentejo. It is in a former monastery, actually in one of the biggest cloisters in Europe. And we are developing an hotel, which is in this area. I don't know if it will show on the presentation, along with villas that are going to be in freehold. So the hotel is going to welcome investors that are going to be in what we call a buyback features, and the investors that are going to be in the villas are going to be under the freehold. And it will be obviously all the amenities that you expect to see in a resort: tennis court, swimming pool, paddle court, kids club, a pool house, and everything. The building is set in a 16th century heritage building. It is actually an experience more than an hotel. With the extension of the religious orders in Portugal in 19th century, this convento fell into a ruin, and this is why we did actually acquire it. And we managed to maintain this, the structural integrity of the monastery, and then to really give him a second life as an hotel. And as I said, the hotel development will be centered on the coasters. That is the largest one in the Iberian Peninsula. So the investment is going to be in 55 rooms. So this is the hotel, and 46 villa. The villa will have different typology. I will just show them to you a little bit later. And these 55 rooms and 46 villa are going to welcome 46 freehold investors, so one per villa, and 85 buyback investors for the 55 rooms. There is also an income that is going to be granted for the first year for the freehold investors that is going to be paid upfront upon the completion of the construction. And there will be 7 days of free accommodation each year for all the investors. This is basically the minimum legal requirement in terms of physical residency in Portugal today. And this is why we are giving this 7 days per year. So this is a beautiful landscape built, we are preserving the structure and the integrity of the building, and actually with a patio that is typical of the Andalusian style. As I was saying, we were moving from Barroco to Rococo, and we managed to keep some of the features of the buildings. You will see the way the architecture had been developed is really to try to maintain the maximum of natural shadow and natural lights, being sustainable, energy efficient. So we are trying to minimize some of the opening with the windows by playing by different layers of volumes of the walls and having natural shadow with using the heights of the buildings. So we converted this unique jewel, classified the national heritage, into state-of-the-art investment project. So as you can see already in those rendering, we are using a lot of the part of the building to create different shadow area and to be able to have the maximum use of the outdoor space. Alentejo is a region where it can be hot in the summer, and having those shadow, it's really bringing a lot of freshness, natural freshness to the area. As I mentioned before, 55 rooms, 46 villa, 131 investors. We're going to start to execute deeds most likely around the month of June, and we're going to start the commercialization of this property within less than 1 month. I already went over those elements, but I think it's worthwhile to actually go over that. So the asset is sitting in the region of Alentejo in Boba. This is an hotel, a resort with villas that are going to be held in freehold. We have 85 slots in the 280,000. We actually have about 65 available. We have some reservations that have been made by some of our partners. We have 46 villa that would be in freehold that are going to range between 300,000 to 395,000. There will be income paid for the freehold investment. The buyback are going to be floating income, but most likely under the buyback options, you're not going to look at making an income because the costs are going to be supported by the developer. So it means that it's going to offset the income, and most likely it's going to be difficult to have an income on the 280,000. So the investment, obviously the asset's going to present all the amenities that you're looking at in a resort in terms of the residential level, but also in terms of the hotel level. So you have indoor pool, you have outdoor pool, king size beds, courtyard, receptions, meeting rooms, wine cellar, sun deck, gym, spa, bar, restaurant, pool bar, and obviously connectivity with internet access for everything. Here are some images and floor plan. So I think it's really allow you to project yourself into the investment. The development is going to be the hotel and this part. The indoor pool is going to be in this side. Then you have 50 meters water river, and the villas that are going to be developed around it. Here you will have a tennis court, paddle court, kids pool, and small garden and the polos. Here are some rendering from the indoor pool and the spa. Here are some rendering of the villas. As you can see, we're trying to really play with the volume. So we have patio, and actually in the floor plan, I'm going to show you the square meters are going to be only the livable square meters, and then you have a patio or balcony for all of the units. And we are using, a lot of natural lights coming using through the patio to be more energy efficient. And I think this is what makes this project very unique, because I think this is going to be the first project developed under the Golden Visa, which is truly abiding by all the sustainability requirements, and that's why we are quite proud of this. So this is some rendering of the inside of the room with all the comforts that you are looking for whenever you go aspire to luxury. As you see, a lot of natural opening, use of curtains, breathing air. And this is really the spirit of the resort. We want calm. When you go to this part, you are aspiring for rest, you are aspiring to enjoy your spa, but also to have a lot of peace that is transparent the investment. As I was saying, we have different type of typology. You have the T1 that are 72 square meters plus the patio. You have 19 units on 2 different floors in 3 different typology. The one with 2 patios, the one with 1 patio, and the one also with 1 balcony. There are 72 square meters inside for all of them. The price of this one will be 345,000. Then you have the T1 that are at the lower end of the investment, 300,000, 55 square meters inside. We have 20 units under this specific size. Again, with 1 patio or 1 patio and another small patio here, or 2 balconies. Then we have T1 under the C section at 395 or 340. So one is going to be 90 square meters plus patio. We have 3 units like this, so larger units. And at 340, we have T1s that are 74 square meters with patio. Again, they are a bit larger units. And finally, we have also a T2. There is only one. It's 81 square meters, but with 2 bedrooms. And this is priced at 395,000 with 3 balconies. I'm reaching to the end of the presentation. I just want to share with you a video of the project. And after that, I'm going to welcome all the questions. I know that I have some of them already. I will start to answer them, and I welcome all of you to prepare your question during this video. So it closed the end of the presentation. I hope that I was not too long. I think I did fit in the 45 minutes to 1 hour that we did actually schedule for that. I have some questions here. I will start to answer them. So the first question I had was relative to the buyback option. One of the a tenant is looking for more information. So typically a buyback option in this kind of product is expressed under what we call a put and call option. So there is a contractual obligation from the developer. The protection is established by the value of the property. So you always have an appraisal that will come and that will present a value of the real estate that will be way higher than the price that is going to be committed in terms of the buyback. Whenever you're going to have your investment made is going to be under the 280,000, it excludes all the taxes that you have to pay on top of that, or all the other fees that you have to pay. So the investment protection is under the capital only, which is the amount of investment that Investaureum is going to receive as a company to purchase the asset and to develop the asset. All the VAT, all the taxes that are going to be linked to the property is excluded from the buyback. And upon completion of the period of holding the property, which is mandatory to complete your golden visa period, typically around 6.5 years, you can exercise your buyback features. So basically in your side is going to be a put option where you're going to force the investors to you're going to force the developer to actually buy your property. And in case you obtain your citizenship and you didn't exercise your put option, the developer will exercise his call option and force you to sell him back. So I hope that it was clear. I have some other question. So when the project be ready for delivery? So this project is going to be ready for delivery in 2024, around the third quarter. I have another question with the developer. So maybe you came a bit late. The developer is Investaureum, as you can see actually on the right-hand side of the slides. I have another question that is there a possibility for the investment unit to appreciate in value? Definitely. I mean, most, as I was mentioning at the beginning of the presentation, typically whenever you go to a branded properties operator, the brand itself, Tivoli, Anantara, wherever is a brand, is going to push the price of the units to increase. This is a strategy most of the operators are having. If you go for the buyback option, meaning the secure capital, 280,000, then you do not have any benefit. So obviously there will be a large profit that will be realized, but that will be made by the developer, since in order to get the protection on the capital, you are giving up on the potential upside as you are giving up on the downside. Whenever you go and invest into the freehold unit, then you are the one that is going to benefit from the investment. The total project cost in terms of development is going to be around 35 million, 30 million, sorry, 30 million. Let me see, I have some other question. So I have another question in terms of the annual service fee. So in terms of service fee, for this specific project, we don't have yet the exact amount. This is something that is going to be developed a bit closer to starting the construction. So typically, I would say that in this kind of project, we're going to start selling the product around in about a month and a half time. And most likely within 3 to 4 months, this is where we will have a more precise amount in terms of the yearly service fee. So yearly service fee is going to differ according to the size of the unit and according to also the type of investment you're going to make. So if you're in the freehold, you are the one responsible for the service fee. If you're under the buyback, you are not the one that is going to be responsible. I have some other questions in terms of the extra fee for furnitures. So here you are in a branded property. So in any branded property, actually the one we do develop, the price comes all in, meaning that it's fully serviced and equipped. Whether this is the hotel or this is a villa, they come with the furnitures, the cutleries, I mean, everything, so that as a tourist, when you come, you have all the comfort of a luxury amenities. I have another question coming, which is, how long does it take to complete the investment process? So here again, it's a very interesting question, but the answers really differs depending on where you are located. If you are in North America, or if you are in India, or if you are in Africa, it has different timing. But assuming that the bank account is open in Portugal, and you're actually feeding your account from outside of Portugal, if you have all the investment available, I will say that the investment process will take about maybe a week or two to complete the investment. And after the immigration process, again, it's going to depend on where you come from, because in some countries it will take a longer time to legalize the documentation. But in average, you're able to submit the file within a week after making the investment, or 2 weeks maximum. And the processing time will be, will be very different according to when you submit your application and what will be the pace the immigration officers are going to analyze the file. But I will say today it takes about 3 to 4 months to get first approval, and after you have the biometric, and after it takes about another 3 to 4 months to get the final approval. A lot of questions, so I'm having here another questions as per how many villas are available. So there will be 46 villas with different typology. I did mention them a little bit before. I can maybe go back just to show you the different typology. So this is this one, which is a T1 72 square meter. It's 19 units, 20 units at 55 square meters at 300. Then we have another typology, which is 3 units, T1 at 90 square meters, and I have 3 units at 74 square meters and 1 unit T2 at 81 square meters. What are the other questions? Being asked if we have availability for our Porto units, and if I would recommend Alentejo over Porto. So the first part of the question is no. I mean, everything is sold out for a very long time. So the only project that we have available today will be Borba, and a few residency left in the 395,000 in Villa Viçosa. So that will be the only product available. We're in a context where demand is exceeding the supply. So for sure, for developers, it's great features, but the inventory is actually emptying itself very quickly. I have another, so the second part of the questions, as per my recommendation, Alentejo over Porto. I think this is very different investment. We had development in Porto, we have development in Alentejo. If you're looking in investing in a freehold unit with a potential of having a greater return on investment, actually a greater capital gain, I will say that definitely Alentejo being priced at a lower hand might bring you higher capital gain down the road. I think it's more than a trend. It's something that is there to stay. And we're seeing so much investment being made in this part of Portugal. As I say, only 2% decrease in occupancy during the pandemic and after. I think it speaks by itself that the region is set to really sustain. I think the regional investment, generally speaking, in Portugal is quite performant. We have the 6 cents in a duo shows ADR of 857 euros per night with a 97% occupancy rate. And this is a regional investment. So if you ask me between Porto and Duo, or if you ask me about Porto and Alentejo, I would say that I prefer to invest in a region where I see that I might have good ADR, lower cost, higher capital gain. So that will be my my answer. So let me see if there is some other question. I had some question about Investaureum. Investaureum is a company that had been in the business for almost 5 years today. It did develop hotels mainly for the context of the Golden Visa, and it has project in development in Algarve, in Silves, in Alqueva, in Borba, in Villa Viçosa, in Douro, beautiful project coming soon, in Porto, in Cascais. So those are the area where Investaureum is making development. I have another question as far as when the project will be completed. I think this is something I answered before, but it's going to be the fourth quarter of 2024. Sorry, yeah, 2024. This is the expected completion time. So let me see if I have some other questions. Okay. I think I don't have any more questions and answers, so I will give the audience another 2-3 minutes in case you have more questions. And if I don't have any more questions, I will just close by thanking all the attendants and thanking Nomad Gates to have hosted this webinar, giving us the chance to introduce to more people the beauty of Alentejo and the project of Investaureum. So thank you all, and if any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you.